Our next guest is a master strategist. He's been consulting for companies all over the world, and I've asked him here today to discuss the top 3 things entrepreneurs aren't doing but should be. Please welcome to the program, Mr. James Wittmack. James, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Derek, and yourself?
Great to have you here, and a very important topic. A lot of people own their own businesses here in San Diego and Southern California, really, in general.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people put all their eggs, all their money, into one business basket and really lose it all.
Exactly.
So I think this is a really important topic. So tell us, what's the number one, or the top thing that entrepreneurs should be doing that they aren't right now?
Well, the main thing entrepreneurs do is try to run their business too long on their own money and not getting money from outside sources. Their feeling is they want to do that because they don't want to lose control of the company. So they try to be king instead of rich. So by being king, they're using all their own money. They use their family, friends, and in the investment industry, we call them fools' money. And that fool's money goes away, and then they've lost their relationships with all their relatives, friends, and the fools.
So you say that they try to be king
Yes.
instead of being rich, meaning
Correct.
they want the control.
Well, when you start a business, you start it because you found something people are willing to pay you money for. Everybody starts calling you, and you become the most important person in the company. The problem with that is you get a superficial experience of success, and you start to think of yourself as king instead of focusing on what it's going to take to become wealthy.
So you think it's funding then is something that, even if an organization doesn't need it, for example, let's say a business doesn't need funding, let's say they're cash flowing just fine, and they have enough reserves, they're not hurting, you still think they should seek for funding?
They should seek for funding then more than any other time. The best time to get funding is when you don't need it. That's when you can qualify for it. That's when you qualify for it. So
The best time to get funding is when you don't need it.
Exactly.
That's really good advice.
Yep.
So in that situation, you're saying that the VCs out there, angel capital guys, or investors just in general, would be a lot more apt to put their money into something when it's doing well.
Correct. Think of it, if you were investing in something. Do you want to invest in a company that's not making money or a company that's successful?
You know, I lived in downtown for years, James, and we would see these shop owners come in. You know, they'd be there for a year. We'd talk to them. We'd get to know them. We'd find out that they literally have everything into this shop, and then one day, everything's gone.
Exactly. I'll often be brought in by people who are helping them get funding that are concerned that they might run out of business before they get more funding, and then the funding people are going to lose their money.
Right.
And often I'll come in and have a, for lack of a better phrase, come to Jesus meeting with them. And so say, okay, here's where we are. Here's where you want to be. This is how much it's going to take to get there. If you got that, and where's that coming from?
We call that the CTJ, by the way.
Okay. That's a nice acronym.
Well, you know, that meeting needs to happen a lot. You know,
Yes,
it really
it does.
does in business. Frankly, if you're a business owner, you should be having meetings like that on a regular basis.
You should.
With employees, clients,
Yep.
frankly, in some cases, vendors, and anyone that you're using in your business. So the CTJ meeting is an important one to be ready and willing to have that meeting if
Yes.
you're a business owner.
Yes.
What about a plan, James? I mean, if it's as far as like, you know, a business plan. You know, everyone says, oh, I got to have a business plan, or, you know, I'm going to start this business. Here's my business plan. That's all I need is a business plan. How important is the plan, first of all, and should everybody have one?
Well, it's not important at all if you don't want to go anywhere. If you want to go somewhere and be successful, there's no other way to get there. If you and a friend or somebody calls you over and says, can you come pick me up? What do you want to know? Where are you? And if they're at a place you haven't been before, what do you need to do? You need to set your GPS or check the map and find out how to get there.
Right.
Often entrepreneurs start their business. They find customers that are willing to buy it, and they don't really plan for a future. They're excited about all this activity that's going on. And over time, they find that they stop growing. And when they stop growing, it's because they didn't put a plan in the first place. The plan will give you controls and measurables so you can make adjustments along the way. If this is happening, you got to do this. If that's happening, you got to do this. They need to stay on top of the financial part of the newspaper and news so they can predict what's going to happen in the future so they aren't making a product that's going to be obsolete in 6 months. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, under two very well-known acronyms. The OSWA system. Mm-hmm. Oh, shucks, we're out. Mm-hmm. When they need funding, they find out, well, now they need money and they don't have it. And the other is SWAG. Systematic wild-ass guess. And that's kind of how they're running their company. And without a plan, that's how it is, and the stress level is extreme.
Right.
It's very extreme. A lot of people become alcoholics, lose their relationship with their family and with their spouse, and in some cases end up doing away with themselves because of the stress level. Their wife will be at the store and trying to buy groceries, and the credit card doesn't clear. She'll try another credit card. That doesn't clear. She calls the owner, or could be reversed. He calls the owner and says, honey, my card's not clearing. And they have to admit at that time they've been paying the mortgage on a credit card.
Right.
And now there's no way out.
And by then it's too late.
It's way too late. And if they'd gotten a plan and funding in place first, that would have never happened. And if they saw it on the horizon, they could have avoided it long before it came to fruition.
Let's close these two together, because we're talking about the top three things entrepreneurs should be doing, but they aren't right now.
Right.
Creating a plan, getting funding.
Yep.
Are those two tied together? In other words, you need to have a plan to get funding, right? I mean, no one's going to give you money without being able to see what the plan is.
Anybody who wants money is going to be asked to see investors going to want to see how they're going to get paid back.
Right.
And how they get paid back is in that plan, regardless of who it is. Even a friend or a relative, they should still ask for a plan and see the strategy to pay them back. And it should be handled according to that strategy, not good faith.
Okay, so create a business plan so that you can get good funding.
Exactly.
And number three, what's number three?
Well, just back on that for a second, the plan will tell you how much funding you need.
Okay.
You just don't get funding and say, hey, I need some money. Hopefully that'll be enough.
How much money can I get?
And investors is very critical for investors. They don't want to underfund a company. Too many people are asking for too little money. They'd rather give you more money to assure your success than not enough and have you struggle. But the third thing is really the first thing, and that's the Omega principle, beginning with the end in mind. How are you going to exit the company? How you exit the company determines how your plan is being built and where the money's coming from. If it's going to be initial public offering, if it's going to be venture capital, if it's going to be angels, if it's going to be an asset lender like a bank. There's a lot of hard money lenders out there. There's a lot of credit lenders out there. There's all kinds of sources for money for people in different types of situations. But your exit determines how that's going to come to fruition. And you can exit a few different ways. You can exit by selling to your employees. That's a strategy. Selling to relatives. That's a strategy. Or going public. That's another strategy. And each way, your infrastructure has to be built to accommodate that exit strategy. Often, I'll be brought in and companies want to exit. Owners who've had their business 30 to 40 years want to exit. But they've been building their company towards the wrong strategy.
Right. They haven't built out an exit strategy into the plan, and so now they have to create a new plan and start working towards that exit, where their timing might not be the same by the time they get there. Fantastic stuff from Master Strategist James Wittmack. James, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.